using Python on a supercomputer does come with a few differences compared to using it on your personal computer. This section of the tutorial is not a tutorial on how to use Python. That's sort of beyond the scope of today, but instead it's about how to run your Python code on the OzSTAR supercomputers. And as usual, a lot of this is explained in detail here in our documentation. But in summary, there are 3 ways of using Python. We have got the pre-built toolchains. And then if you sort of have more complex needs, you can use Python modules with virtual environments. And then if you have even more complex needs, you can use Conda. And the only thing I'll mention here is that you shouldn't use Conda and Python modules at the same time. It just won't work. You have to pick one or the other. Toolchains are really just a basket of modules that we've prepared for you. And so this is the quickest and easiest way to get started. It's ideal if you don't have complex dependencies, and it just includes a whole bunch of commonly used Python packages. So Python, IPython, H5py, MPIPy, SciPy, most of the common packages that people will use. And we've installed all of that for you so that you don't really have to think about which packages you need to install. And so to see the available toolchains, we can use the spider command. Well, first of all, I can go module avail. And we can see that these are the toolchains available. And if you want to see something about the Python scientific toolchains, we can run the spider command. And then there's a little bit of information here about it. So I'm going to load the latest one. The module load this toolchain. And now the Python version in my environment is going to be Python 3.10. And all of these packages are now going to be available. So I can go import SciPy, for example, and that will work. The next way to use Python is to create a virtual environment. So we recommend doing this if you require a Python package that isn't currently installed on our system. So you can either start from the base Python module or one of the Python toolchains. So it depends if you want the NumPy or SciPy that we have installed, or if you want to install everything from scratch. So in this example here, I'm just going to load the base Python module. And to do that, I also need to load GCC, which is a requirement of that. And then normally, if you were on your personal computer, you might decide to pip install a package. And this doesn't work on OzSTAR. So if I try to install, say, pip install PyJoke, just as an example, I get an error because we're not currently in a virtual environment. So first we have to create one. So we'll use this command here. Again, this is all in the documentation, so don't stress about having to write this down. And we choose a path for that Python environment. So I'll just go to demo. And now we have to activate that environment. So I'll just do source, demo. And now we know we're in the virtual environment because we've got this extra little bit on our prompt. And now that we're in a virtual environment, I can try to install the package again. And you can do any pip command as usual.
I think maybe Python 3.11 is too new for some packages sometimes.
Yeah, okay. I just tried to install a package that isn't supported by 3.11. But if I try to do like pip install NumPy, that should work. There we go. So that installed successfully. And now in Python, I can go import NumPy. And that's available to me. Once I want to exit my virtual environment, I can just go deactivate, and then I'm out of that. And then the packages I installed will no longer be available. I'm just going to note that you should always load the Python modules before activating the virtual environment. If you try to do it the other way around, it doesn't work properly. So this is the most complex way. That's to use Conda, but it allows you to install any version of Python plus any packages that you need. And so we generally don't recommend this, but sometimes it's necessary if, for example, a scientific collaboration that you're working with has very strict package requirements, and they need very specific versions for a version of Python that we may not be able to offer on the supercomputer. And so to use conda, you just simply do module load conda, and that makes the conda command available to you. So we can try to create a conda environment, doing conda create name demo, and then you can pick any version of Python that you want. So for example, let's say Python 3.11 wasn't available on OzSTAR. You can create a conda environment that has 3.11 in it. It's going to take a bit of time, I think. Okay, this might take a while. But basically, once we've created this conda environment, we would then activate it using this command. So I called my environment demo. So then I would type conda activate demo, and that would put me in this conda environment, which has Python 3.11 in it. And then after I've activated it, I can then use the conda install command to install any package I want. And so if you're used to using conda on your laptop or your personal computer, it behaves very much the same way. Yeah, I've kind of just glossed over how to use Python. I haven't gone into it with a lot of detail, but hopefully with this overview, you might have an idea of what approach best suits you. And once you've decided, please go to our documentation, and we've got all the gory details about how you would actually implement it for your project there.